Welcome dear students to a new virtual tutorial class. Now this is a class primarily meant for the first semester English course students. Now this is a topic that is very important in English literary history, not only in literary history, in political history, social history, English history in general. Can't ignore this particular topic, the Norman Conquest. So we are going to understand the importance of this particular event. First of all, what is this event? The Norman Conquest. Now, the phrase Norman Conquest, an important word there is conquest. So the Norman Conquest obviously is a conquest. So it's the conquering of a land and establishing a foreign rule to start with by an outside force. So that is what a conquest is. So it is a kind of colonization. So, but I said kind of colonization because it turns out to be a resident colonialism, because the conquerors ultimately took up the conquered country as their own and continue to stay there. So it is a conquest. It's a conquest of England. By Norman conquest, what we mean is the conquest of England. When does it take place? Very important. 1066. The Norman conquest of England happens in 1066. That is in the 11th century. Middle of the 11th century, England was conquered by the Normans. Now, who were these Normans? Now, these conquering force came from Normandy. So they were from Normandy in France. So this conquering force that established their reign in England in 1066 was from Normandy, which is in northern France. So they were Frenchmen, but there's a twist to it. These people who are called Normans from Normandy actually were originally Scandinavians. They were Scandinavians or Vikings who in the 9th century actually attacked northern France, and in 911, early 10th century, the leader of the Northmen, they were called Northmen. From Northmen we had finally Norman, and in 911 their leader Rollo was given territory by the French king Charles the Simple. So this part of northern France was given to the Scandinavian leader Rollo to establish his duchy or dukedom. So in early 10th century, the Scandinavians established a duchy in northern France, which came to be called Normandy. These Scandinavians, after establishing themselves in Normandy, in due course they became, for all practical purposes, Frenchmen. That is, they absorbed French culture, French language, everything French. So the language they spoke was French language, but a dialect of the French language, so Norman French language. These were the people, originally Scandinavians, but now from northern France, having absorbed the culture and language and day-to-day life of the Frenchmen. They are the people who conquers England in 1066. Which England? It was the Anglo-Saxon England. Yeah. England was till 1066. It was Old England, Old English, Anglo-Saxon. So it was called up to 1066. The historical period is called Old English period or Anglo-Saxon period. From this Anglo-Saxon, these Anglo-Saxons were also not indigenous people. They had also conquered England in around 450 AD after the departure of the Romans. But after 450 till 1066, on the whole, it is Anglo-Saxon England. The name England itself comes from Angleland, that is the land of the Angles, who were Germanic tribes or Teutonic tribes. Their culture was Germanic or Teutonic. So this Anglo-Saxon England was attacked in 1066 by the Normans. Now in 911, Rollo was the leader of the Normans. By 1066, of course, it was William. It was William who was the Duke of Normandy, but he had become the Duke of Normandy in 1035, and by 1066 William had his eyes on the throne of England. He had a claim. He claimed the throne of England, and so with his barons, with his soldiers, he marched towards England, and in the decisive battle in 1066, battle with whom? Who was his opponent? It was King Harold. King Harold was defeated by Duke William in the Battle of Hastings. Very important. In the Battle of Hastings, King Harold was defeated by William, the Duke of Normandy. 14th October 1066 to be precise. And on 25th December 1066, Duke William was crowned the King of England. So that was the Norman conquest of England. So William came to be known as, since then, William the Conqueror. So William, the Duke of Normandy, attacked England in 1066, 14th October 1066. The forces led by King Harold were defeated. William becomes the King of England, officially crowned on 25th December 1066. That is the very significant event which we call the Norman Conquest of England. Very significant because after that, never has England been permanently conquered by any outside forces. Besides, this Norman conquest has far-reaching consequences. 1066 is the demarcating line between Old English and Middle English. So 1066, this event brings about epoch-making changes in language, in culture, in politics, in literature. So those are the effects of the Norman conquest. Feudalism itself was installed in England thanks to the Norman conquest. In literature, different forms came, different ideas came. Political unity was achieved. Germanic or Teutonic culture came into contact with Romance culture brought by the Norman conquest. So that is what the Norman conquest is. About the effects of the Norman conquest, we shall have a different class, surely, very soon. But at the moment, I think we have grasped what the Norman conquest is, and I hope you'll be able to write answers to questions on the Norman conquest. Possibly there will be a short note to be written on the Norman conquest, or objective type questions like when did the Norman conquest take place, who was the original leader of the Scandinavians, who was given the dukedom by King Charles the Simple, who was the duke who attacked England, who was the King of England during the Norman conquest, who was defeated by William. These are the objective type questions, expected objective type questions, but you might be asked to write a short note on the Norman conquest itself. So I hope this short brief class will help you in preparing for your exams and also in understanding what the Norman conquest was.